Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gorilla and The Geek, the podcast for sweaty nerds by sweaty nerds. My name is Kyle from Geeks Weekly, and I am here with the man, the gorilla, the gorilla man, John, the ginger gorilla. John, how you doing?
I wish I had a little more gorilla in me. I feel very scrawny nowadays, but I appreciate the sentiment.
It's bulking season. You'll get there.
Yeah, I need to eat more. I'm doing well. Happy after Christmas, almost New Year. By the time this comes out, it will almost be New Year. Oh my God, 2020, we are old and washed.
I know. Yeah,
It's
I'm feeling it.
it's really weird to think about, like a whole new decade type of thing.
Actually, you know what's funny? Speaking of that, so I was making myself breakfast this morning, and I
Mm-hmm.
reached up into a cabinet to grab my peanut butter, and my back started hurting. So, yeah, we're getting to the point now where like I think we can just expect bodies to start hurting just
Bro,
from like daily activities.
but we're not even that old. I seriously think I need to start doing yoga.
Yeah, but dude, I don't know. I feel like I'm aging like milk. It's getting rough out here.
I feel like that's not a good sign. We're way too young for this milk.
No, I know. It's I, like I wish I wish I could like go back and tell myself like, hey, you know how like high school me be like, hey, you know how they always tell you to stretch and you always like scoff at them and stuff. Don't scoff, stretch.
Of course, yeah. I feel like there's always things like that where you're like, maybe I shouldn't have jumped off that deck into the snow.
Facts. And there's like some lingering injuries that I'm sure have caused me a little bit of pain throughout my body. But that's not what the people are here to listen to. They're not here to listen to us bitch about our ailments.
Our, imagine if that was what all our podcast was every week. We just came in and we were like, my left toe hurts today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gorilla and the Geek, the podcast for hurting nerds by hurting nerds.
All right, Kyle, let's get to your movie topic.
Alrighty. So, as a lot of us know, John and I actually went to go see The Rise of Skywalker.
Shoo, 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 choo, choo.
Was that a lightsaber noise? Was that what that was?
Yeah, that was, but from my
No.
mouth.
What you're looking for is more of like a wom, 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 wom.
Why was the last one like a question mark?
Oh, that was it going back inside of itself.
Oh, okay.
Pause.
Well, whoa. Whoa. Okay, things are getting a little weird here.
Fast forward. Anyway,
First of all,
so-
your lightsaber noises were too good. I don't like how the amount of time you probably put into that.
Dude, since I was a kid, you never like grabbed the toilet. If you grabbed the toy lightsaber as a kid, you had to make the noises. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you look stupid.
You don't know if I was the fancy family with the one that made noises when you swung it.
You had one. That's white privilege.
I did not.
gentlemen.
I did
That's
not.
white
I did
privilege.
not have one of those.
That's a
Please.
flood John for his
I
white
don't-
privilege right there.
I don't even think I had a regular lightsaber.
Never
One
mind.
time I got a toy sword from medieval times and it gave me a splinter.
Damn, bro, you're so unfortunate. That sucks. So we saw The Rise of Skywalker this weekend, and everyone had their issues with it. It's currently sitting at I think like a 58% on Rotten Tomatoes, but I'll get that up in just a second. And what I wanted to discuss was, I'm sorry, it's actually sitting at a 55% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's making boatloads of money, so who cares? What I wanted to discuss is the format of a trilogy. I'm starting to think that format, unless you are telling a 3-act story, if you want to call it that, like an overarching story over 3 films with a set plan in place, if you're not doing that, I think that the trilogy format is dated. And I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on whether or not you think trilogies are still necessary, if we can just kind of make movies, or not we, but if studios should be making movies, if you want to make a franchise, just keep going until you run out of ideas, or if you'd rather them have a set plan in place. Because I think when they go down the middle, in between both ideas, it doesn't come out the best, kind of like how this new Star Wars trilogy came out. And the best way I can put it is like, you can't be half pregnant. You either go all the way or you don't at all. So what are your thoughts?
So I think it really, once again, depends on the movie at hand, right? So, for instance, if you're making a Fast and Furious, you could just keep making movies until the well runs dry, I guess, story wise. I mean,
Yeah.
that doesn't say much, but for that, I think you could kind of just wait until the well runs dry. and then make it like you don't have to come up with an overarching plan of from movie 1 to movie 7. You could just do movie 5 and then write movie 6, do movie 6, then write movie 7, and so on and so forth. Where I don't understand why there needs to be 3 movies, right? I don't think the
Yeah.
trilogy needs to be set in stone, but I do understand if you're gonna do a chunk like Star Wars, right? 3, 4, whatever. Then you set down that chunk, and it's kind of, I think we talked about this otherly a little bit behind the scenes, but have those movies planned out so you don't mess it up like they did here, right?
Mm.
Because as some people may know, if you don't know, movie episode 7 and episode 9 were directed by J.J. Abrams, right?
Yep.
And then episode 8, which was the middle movie of this trilogy, was directed by who?
Ryan Johnson.
And what that did was that made one storyline, another storyline, and I had to go back and fix the storyline from the middle part, right? Like, because it was just, it messed it up. People have, when you switch around directors and you don't have this overarching plan set in place for them to follow almost like verbatim and just put their little twang on it, it's going to mess it up. Also, I think if you're doing a trilogy, everything should be consistent in that. Or if
Yeah.
you're doing 4 movies, it should be consistent. And it's one of those things that you need to lock down ahead of time so you could have a good trilogy. That was what, I mean, the original trilogy of Star Wars, it was just George Lucas, right?
Yeah, George Lucas with some like help from other directors, but he was the
But
main
he was the main, right? So, like,
force. Yeah.
that's the thing. It stayed consistent. What about episode 1, 2, and 3? Was it all
Those were also George Lucas, but that was like solely him. No one else. Like he made every single decision. No help. No one saying no to him on anything.
Dude,
That was all him.
he's like a band. You know how like sometimes band members try to go off by themselves and they're like, I can do this by myself now, and then
Yeah.
their career flops. Well,
Yeah.
George Lucas is like a band. He's good as a front lead singer, but he needs
Needs
some
some
backup.
guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I honestly think that if you're gonna plan a story to span over a couple movies, everything needs to be consistent in the background, right? Consistent actors, consistent production staff, consistent directors, so that the story feels like the same story throughout without major changes going on between. Like,
Yeah.
makes sense. It just makes sense to do it that way. Like, and I get it. Like, so Hunger Games wasn't always the best movies, right?
Mhm.
But that is one thing they kept consistent. They banged out the movies real quick and then released them at later dates. Like, and that's probably should have. I know Star Wars did that. Like, they filmed pretty quickly, right? I'm pretty sure after one aired, they basically got to work doing the next one. But
I think between 7 and 8 they did. Yeah.
it was the whole switching up the director that I think really screwed it up.
Yes. So here's my view of it. I think I think that trilogies are a dated concept. I think that we've had a couple different franchises prove that you don't need to do a 3-movie arc in order to tell a complete story. I mean, we have the Avengers movies, and if we want to take the Avengers themselves as a franchise, not just the MCU in total, that is a 4-movie thing. Everyone thought it was going to be 3, but no. That we had twists and turns throughout. It got to the 3rd movie. It left us on to a cliffhanger, kind of, I guess, and then they finished with the 4th. Toy Story. We just saw the 4th installment of that franchise, which I'd imagine is going to be the last one. After what's
Who
after
knows
what
with that
seemed like
one?
the last one. Yeah, I know. That's true. I mean, number 3 seemed like it was going to be the last one, but I can't. I'm not going to spoil Toy Story for anyone. But after this one, I can't really see where they go from here. But that was very successful as well. Now we have, of course, seen instances where trilogies are really good. I mean, you can take the original Star Wars trilogy, for instance, that told a complete story. However, there was an end goal in sight the whole time. With the Dark Knight trilogy, that was a 3-movie story, and there was always one through line throughout, and that was Bruce Wayne just wanted someone to protect Gotham. In Batman Begins, he created the Batman. In The Dark Knight, he tried to get it to be Harvey Dent. In The Dark Knight Rises, he found John Robin Blake, I believe is the character's name. And I think the issue with the trilogy model in this franchise, the Disney Star Wars franchise, is that in doing the whole different directors thing, you can go that route, but you need to make sure all the directors that are working towards one common goal, and that is to finish a story in the way that they originally set out. Wait, did I say A or did I say one? I think I said A, right?
Sure.
Z, you need to make sure that if you're going to do different directors, you don't necessarily.
Bro,
How do I put
did
it? But
you like sleep on the wrong side of the bed or something last night? Because you just said directors.
yeah, I'm sick, so I'm kind of messed up right now. But it's okay. We're
Directors.
pushing that through. You need different directors. So, um, damn you, God damn it, John, you lose my train of thought, you asshole.
Go ahead and keep talking now, nerd.
No, I got it. So, all right, in the world that we live in, the first film was directed by J.J. Abrams, and the second film was directed by Ryan Johnson. Now, once that film happens, and you get rid of some of the story threads from Episode 7, which Ryan Johnson just did, let's be honest, you need to just kind of go with that in the next film. You can't just kind of like go into the next film and say, let's get rid of everything that Ryan Johnson did and go back to the stuff that J.J. Abrams wanted to do. That creates for a messy plot, and kind of that gave us this movie that I said in my review should have been 3.5 hours long, because the first hour of the movie is there's just so much happening, and you see so many characters whose names I don't remember at all. You're
It's
getting like there's so much like chasing after this MacGuffin and the next MacGuffin, and then oh okay, we have to get here to get this thing. It's too much. Instead, what they could have done was they could have said, all right guys, we're scrapping the trilogy idea. We're gonna go with 4 films. In episode, what was it, 9? In episode
yeah.
9, we can have them go after this thing, which I can't really say out loud because I just realized I don't want to spoil this movie for anyone. And then in episode 10, which everyone would have been fine with the 10th Star Wars movie. Who cares?
Yes, definitely, and it would make you more money.
It would make you more money, and then you could probably spend less time trying to do course corrections on a movie rather than just telling a cohesive story.
And
And that's
also,
why.
do you know the hype level of like if all of a sudden everyone thinks this is like if you could keep it secret until like
Oh
opening
yeah.
night, and then all of a sudden opening night have it end where people think is like the middle of the movie. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you know how
That'd be cool.
excited people would be? And then they'd be so hyped for the new one. And you know what would be even great or greater if you somehow release that second one even like quicker, because no one does that, right? You got to switch things up though. Like
Yeah.
if they filmed both of them, so already had it filmed, edited it, and I'm not saying like super quick, but relatively quick for 2 movies coming out back to back. I
Well,
think that
kind of
would
like
that
Endgame and Infinity War.
yeah, but that was
Would
still
be.
like that was still a year, right?
I would want it to be a year though. You think you'd want to be
Bro,
shorter than
I
a year?
just think it would be. I think it would change the idea of a movie like that. You know,
Mm.
I
So
understand
what?
the year, year might be needed, but to like milk the money for people finishing seeing it, it coming out on Blu-ray or whatever, and people get to watch it again, so on and so forth. But we always talk about in our personal life the people changing the game, changing podcasting, changing this, changing that, right?
Yes.
Think about this is the regular movie format. Once a year a movie comes out if it's in a series. Like Harry Potter, I think it was probably longer than once a year, but once they get the ball rolling, it's like once a year. If they did it a little bit shorter than that, where they had it back to back, I think it would just really hype everybody up.
Yeah. No. I mean, yeah, there's a point there. Yeah, for sure. I just think a- anything could have been better than
But
just trying to rush through a
yeah,
third movie in a trilogy and like going back and trying to say, well, no, that's actually not true. What was said last movie? Don't really pay attention to that. We're going to do it this way now.
hmm
I hate that. I think it did a disservice to the actors, to the people who worked on these movies outside of the directors, to the writers. I think a lot of it falls more so on Disney for not allowing themselves to be flexible in correcting what they thought went wrong. Because clearly they did think something went wrong. They either listened to the fans or they didn't like the final product of the Last Jedi themselves, and they went down a path that I just don't think worked. And that's my thoughts on it.
yeah, it's rough, but we got what we got, and I guess that's what we're gonna have to deal with. But
Yeah.
also like I mean, I want to kind of talk about something a little else going into this. The way that Disney sets up the Star Wars universe now is, and we talked about this too in our personal life, that everything is for more merchandise to be sold. and merchandise being maybe comics, right? Where it's like, okay, here's part of a story. You could read the rest of this when it comes out in the comic, and you have to buy that too.
Yes, and that makes for ineffective storytelling in cinema.
Exactly.
It's bad.
And I get the fact that you want to expand the universe, but expand the universe in other ways, not where main part of your story, which could be used in the movie, is now going to be in the comic, just to explain something that you didn't have time to explain in the movie. Once again, you could have made more movies. If they weren't holding to this trilogy, I think we could have had such a better story in the movies. But I'm also wondering, maybe they held to the trilogy just so they could sell more comics.
If that's the case, then that's irresponsible filmmaking, and they should be ashamed of themselves. Because this is what you get. You get people getting pissed off at you. You get a 55% rating on a film. This is the second lowest rated Star Wars movie ever. That matters.
Yeah.
People are gonna look back on this movie and go, "What happened?"
Which I don't get why it's rated that low, because I still think it's better than episode 8.
Hold on, let me see.
What is?
Yeah,
what,
I mean,
what
so
is
like
8 rated at? Is it better than this?
hell yeah.
That doesn't make sense. This was definitely better than 8.
Dude, it got, I think it got in the 80s, 91% actually.
That doesn't even make sense.
So this movie, the average rating for episode 8 was an 8.1 out of 10. And let me get you the most recent one, The Rise of Skywalker, was rated a 6.6 out of 10. 6.16. I'm sorry, 6.16.
Do you agree with that though?
So here's what I would say. I said this in the car to you guys, and so these critics are rating it based on like
actual, yeah.
So I think The Last Jedi is a better movie than The Rise of Skywalker. However, I think The Rise of Skywalker is more enjoyable as a fan of Star Wars. I think that it's probably a more rewatchable movie because it leaves you feeling a little bit better than The Last Jedi. There's not a lot of screwing around with characters in The Rise of Skywalker as there was in The Last Jedi with Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the overall narrative in The Last Jedi is far superior to the one in The Rise of Skywalker. Because as I said, that first act in The Rise of Skywalker is rough. It's just, you're going to so many different planets, bro.
It's like like in the Rocky movies when he'd have the montage of him training.
Dude, it's like a montage of
it's a montage of just, and it's not even one character. It's just montages of like, it's like I did this and then I did that and now we're here. I did this and I did that and now I'm here.
Yeah. And there's like conveniences and stuff, so I get it. I do get it.
Also, other thing, do you think critics should put out 2 different scores? I just thought of this. I think they should put out 2 different scores. A critic score and then a fan score almost. I don't know if critics could compartmentalize like that though.
They probably could.
Maybe this is why we have 2 different types of, I guess, reviewers. But the thing is, like, okay, so they put out that critic score. Your everyday person who's going to like try to look for a score or a number or a grade or something for a movie isn't going to see that score and think, oh yeah, but this isn't fan based. This isn't just like, oh, how's the movie type of score. They're going to see that and think that when it's really coming down to like, oh, is this theatrically a good movie?
Well, so here's the thing that Rotten Tomatoes does, which I think is very commendable. They allow critics to score film, and they also allow audience members to score film. The audience score for The Rise of Skywalker is an 86%, which is a 4.31 out of 5 average rating. So I think that the let me just see what The Last Jedi was in terms of their fan score. I'm actually very intrigued. Oh my god, dude, that's so interesting. So it's kind of like what I was saying earlier. The audience score for The Last Jedi. So remember, The Last Jedi was a 91%.
Yeah.
For critics. Do you want to guess what the audience score was?
A 60.
43%.
See, and okay, so yeah, Rotten Tomatoes does the best. Well, basically what I was just talking about though, because it makes sense. Like it was just over, and I get theatrically it's a good movie, maybe like set up that way, But does that actually have to do with like I think that matters if you're going for a movie that's like that. I get some of these movies can be like that if that's what the goal is, but also it's a Star Wars movie. Does it need to be like storytelling perfection, or
Well,
does it need
that's
to
the
be a
thing.
good Star Wars movie?
The issue is that the original trilogy set a precedent for it being possibly really good storytelling. If you go back and watch the original trilogy now, like I did this weekend, or not
Mm-hmm.
this weekend, or before Christmas, the original trilogy has such good storytelling, such great characters, such great moments that are iconic, that were influential throughout cinema history. I genuinely think that The Empire Strikes Back, which is the middle movie in that saga, is one of the top. I'm gonna say one of the top 20 greatest movies of all time, and that matters. That matters to critics nowadays. That matters to critics nowadays who were fans when they were children, maybe who don't see film the same way that they did when they were kids. Don't get as excited for this type of stuff anymore, but they still hold these very high, maybe unrealistic standards because you will never be better than the first.
Yeah,
It is so hard. That's why Joaquin Phoenix was fighting an uphill battle with his portrayal of the Joker. He did an amazing job, but everyone's gonna say, I don't know if it was better than Heath Ledger, though,
I
and that's
I
not fair.
I arguably think it was.
And that's perfectly fine. A lot of people are going to fall on different sides of the argument. I think it's just not fair to compare two previous efforts. I think you have to compare it to itself.
That's true.
I'll compare movies in this trilogy to movies within this trilogy. I think the best one in this trilogy is The Force Awakens. I think that the next two are debatable for me because, like I said, I think if I use my film dissection brain, The Last Jedi is better. But if I use my fandom brain and someone who just wants to watch a movie, I'll enjoy The Rise of Skywalker better. So it just kind of depends on what you're going for. And that's what I appreciated most about film anyways. It's that it is subjective. People can get different things out of it from what they prefer to watch movies for. And there's a little something for everyone. It's just that with these movies, there's so much hype, there's such like an intense, deep rooted fandom that it really is hard to get everything right.
That is true. Good point. Good point. Good point. But with that, I think we should move on.
Yep, good.
So, question of the week. If you could live in any sci-fi or fiction story, movie, universe, right? Which one would you choose?
Man.
Right? Hard. It's a hard question. Now,
Man.
by this, I don't mean just like sci-fi where it's like space and stuff. Could do like a Lord of the Rings type of thing.
So like sci-fi or fantasy.
Yes, there we go. I could not think of that word like to describe it, fantasy.
Yeah. Dude, that's so hard.
Yeah. So my immediate reaction, I think, would be Star Wars, due to the fact that overall, normal everyday people, besides your planet potentially getting blown up, it's a pretty peaceful universe. Like, overall, besides slight things here, slight things there.
Because like there's a galactic empire.
That's true.
That's there for so long.
And also, like, what if you end up being a fucking clone?
Yeah. Oh my god, what a nightmare that is. That's why I wouldn't pick like.
But it's also really hard. Like, it's a hard choice.
That's why I wouldn't pick like the Blade Runner universe because
you know what?
if I found out that I was a replicant, I'd be.
You ready? Here, actually, I think I might know the better one.
Go ahead.
Dude, it might be. You might have to go to the Lord of the Rings universe. You want to know why? Why? You want to know why? Because if you actually think of what's going on in Lord of the Rings, they're trying to get this ring back to Sauron, the mountain, to burn it, destroy it, to save the world, right? They go back to the bar at the end, and they don't feel like heroes or anything because no one has any idea what they did. So your everyday person there has no idea none of this is going on, right? So to them, the world is just a normal place. They're just living their lives, nothing really that bad. I mean, you don't have commodities like everyday commodities.
That's true.
But you know, also is kind of great. Harry Potter. You got the best of everything, especially if you're not a Muggle.
So like, so you want to be pure wizard or?
Whoa! I don't need to be a pure wizard, okay?
So wait, so it's. I'm sorry. Hold on. A Muggle's a human.
Muggles just know magic, which
And
means
a
you don't get.
mudblood
Whoa! That is a dirty word, sir.
No, but that's what they called them. So
That's
it
what,
was
no,
yeah.
that's what Malfoy and the bad people called them.
What'd you call them? Halfway houses? Like what are we talking about?
Halfway houses.
Come on now.
Nah, they're just called like mixed people, bro.
No, that's
Yo,
not.
but like no, Mudblood is un PC in that universe though. It's like I'm not the N word, but like it's like a slur. There we go. It's a I couldn't see it. My brain ain't working, bro. It's a slur for people who are mixed blood.
Yeah, you're lucky our podcast isn't big like that, because otherwise it'd be like this. Justin, John the Ginger Gorilla says mudblood equivalent to N-word.
The M word.
Yeah, you'd be all over TMZ and shit.
Nah, but yo, low key might be the best thing to live in that universe.
I think I would agree with you because magic would be pretty useful.
And then you also have normal everyday world things.
Yeah, man, that's
so and it might arguably be the most peaceful.
Man, I'm going to agree with you.
This is also a question I kind of want to follow up on a different podcast too, just so we have more time to think about it, because I feel like this is a real thinker.
Yeah, for right now, I'm going to agree with you on Harry Potter because that's what I was gonna say. And I'm trying to rack my brain to see if I can think of like a non-Harry Potter answer, just so I have a different one than you. But right now,
it just
can't think of anything.
It might be the best overall. It might be the best option.
It might be
The
unless
safest.
Unless you want to pick like a I don't know, like Ohio in the Avengers universe where like nothing.
Yeah, but even there, for a slight period of time, you lose half the people you love.
5 years.
So I mean, that's still, and it might be you.
Yeah, it might be.
And it might. So even then, you're still screwed. Where Harry Potter, when Voldemort's attacking Hogwarts, if you're not at Hogwarts, life is pretty good. Like, think about it. So do you remember? Did you watch the Harry Potter movies?
Yeah, watch them all.
Okay, so you know Goblet of Fire, where they have like the different schools come in?
That's probably my favorite one.
Bro, okay, so listen to this. All those other schools, when the most evil person was attacking one of the other schools, none of those schools showed up to help.
It's true.
They were like, I'm in Russia, whatever, sucks to be you guys. If he takes over that school, then we're in trouble, but why would we help? I just thought of that. Holy crap. That makes me really angry for the wizarding world.
That is crazy.
That is messed up. See what happens when Hogwarts wins the Goblet of Fire? Everyone else just leaves them. Says bye. Peace. All right. But that's that. If you guys have any better answers for us, let us know. Instagram, email, on a podcast, on YouTube, something. Comment, let us know. DM us. Tweet at us. But as of right now, I think Harry Potter is the best option.
Yeah, I think you got this one, bro. I'll be honest. You won.
Moving on from there, we're going to go to our video game talk this week. And now it's not as much about video game per se this week as drama in the streaming world around video games, I guess you could say. And what do I mean by that? So, in the past week, we had a little bit of a feud. Now, this feud starts off with Ninja basically releasing a video or part of his stream. I think he did like basically a monologue on stream and then made it into a YouTube video where he basically says other streamers need to stop being so negative about a video game that basically created their career. And basically just, you're not going to get as far if you just focus on negatives of a game and complain about it every week and so on and so forth. Now, there's another streamer who does this a lot, and his name is Dakotaz, aka DK. And for some reason, he felt like Ninja was targeting him. Ninja didn't like focus on him at all, didn't say his name, didn't bring it up. But for some reason, he thought that Ninja was focusing on him, right? And he went off and he like blocked Ninja on Twitter. He was like talking all this crap about him, so on and so forth. But basically what I want to go is, do you think, I mean, we are in a world now where a sign of a successful video game in a sense is Can people stream it? Can they create content off of it?
Hmm.
And which means that these streamers, the bigger streamers, have a lot of power. A lot of them do ad streams when a new game comes out to try to give that game a little bit of extra push. People see them play it, and it makes them want to play it. Um, and when streamers talk more positive about a game, I'm sure that helps the game out in the long run. And vice versa. I think if a streamer just keeps being negative and harping on negatives of a game, aka Fortnite. Fortnite went through this whole mech era where people only complained about mechs, and I'm not gonna lie, that probably did sway people to not like the game a little more than if they just played it and got killed by a mech and weren't listening to the streamers. Um, so I want to know what you think. Do you think the streamers have that much power where they could persuade people's like choices of playing the game or not playing the game, buying the game or not buying the game?
So what I would say is, I think that those they're called influencers for a reason, even though it's like the cringiest and douchiest title for like a job or a career or whatever. I think influence is influence, and if you're a young kid and you see your favorite streamer saying, "I hate this game, I'm not going to be playing it anymore," you might think to yourself, "Yeah, that game's not cool. I'm not going to keep playing it." However, I don't necessarily think that's on the streamer to hold back his thoughts on a game. I mean, so like what I'm doing on my YouTube channel is commenting on movies, right? Or TV, cartoons, anime, whatever it is. I want to discuss things that I'm passionate about, whether that be positive or negative. If I have something negative to say about a movie, back on it. However, I tend to focus more so on the positive side of things. Um, that's just because of the way I am.
Yeah.
However, I also think that there's something to be said for people that sugarcoat things,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where it kind of gets a little bit iffy in terms of your content. Like, if you're someone that just ignores all the negatives, then why am I gonna trust you when you say that you really like something,
So
right?
basically, like Disneyfying it.
Yeah, yeah, essentially. So like these streamers, if they don't like the mechs or what the brutes, whatever they were called back in the day when they were around,
Yeah.
back in the day like 2 months ago, if they don't, they can say that, in my opinion. Now, I definitely don't think that you should be just crapping on the game every chance you get. I think that's too much.
So yeah, that's the second part of this. Is Ninja did say not just like obviously stop talking about like trash about a game, because he says I did it. He goes I used to be that toxic when I was younger. He was like, but I've been in this game for a long time. I basically learned from it. It doesn't help you grow being toxic like that without giving almost constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Basically, he said because he said it's okay to complain about a game if the game is broken, aka Max, right? But don't just complain about it and then that's it. Be negative and that's it, and then continue to play it. Basically, give constructive feedback. Say like, what do you think they could fix? Like, and then find positives in it, how they could fix it and make it a great game. Because I think what he's alluding to is a lot of streamers are out here. They play the game, and they just go, "This is stupid, that's stupid, this is broken, that's broken. I can't be good because of this. I can't be good because of that. Why'd they put lightsabers in the game? Why was the sword in the game? Why are planes in the game? Blah, blah, blah." But they don't say, "Hey, you could do this to incorporate this in the game still and fix it." Like, things like that.
Hmm.
They don't actually think of how can we use this in the game, but also keep the game, like, make it, like, not OP.
Yeah.
Which I understand because there are moments where you get heated and you say, "Oh, this is stupid." But if you really think about it, just especially if that's your career, I just don't think there's a longevity off of being that negative all the time. Because eventually people will be like, "Yeah, this is fun for a little bit," but I don't think you're gonna build like long-term supporters off of if they have to come to you every day and hear negativity, because eventually it's just going to get tiring.
I agree with you. However, there I've seen examples of it actually working.
Hmm.
So there's a wrestling podcaster. His name is JD from NY. He's really funny, to be fair. But he essentially he kind of hates the WWE programming, and he has for years. And he's cultivated a following of over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he's made it become his career now. And he does give praise when something is genuinely good. He also does give ideas as to what he thinks they could do better. But every single podcast he does and every single video starts off with him, "Oh my God, WWE, what are they doing? This is terrible. Are you effing kidding me?" And like he'll just start going off, right?
Yeah.
People find him entertaining, and I think that they like that he kind of just says whatever he wants. It's like it's almost like you and I with the whole anti-PC comedy thing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want people's feelings to be hurt in real life. However, we'll go see these comedians who talk reckless because it's not necessarily, it's like its own separate thing, and we're going to them for that. And they entertain us, and that's just what it is. Now, in the case of crapping on a video game, my issue would be watching you play the game while you take a dump all over it. It's kind of like, well, I mean, you can play something else and not be so negative. Like that. That's my thing. Like, I don't want someone. I mean, watching someone stream is so different. Like, what are your thoughts on this? Because you're more so someone who watches streams regularly. I just don't necessarily have the time to. And you yourself, you stream. So, like, what do you think about it?
So what I think basically is there's a couple things that make a good stream, in my opinion. One, the person has to be decent at the game, right? Can't be trash, because if you're just dying all the time, it kind of sucks. Two, you have to be entertaining.
Of course.
And for me, I do like rage moments, but overall, you have to be kind of my entertainment that I like is more of a positive, like high energy entertainment, where if I had to like watch an 8-hour stream of someone just like bitching about a game while playing the game, one, I would feel sad for the person. And two, it would just, I would think I'd lose interest, because it's just like, if you're being negative, you almost see everything in that negative hue, like the world, right? I guess that's almost like depression, like would fall into that thing. Like once you're depressed, it's just everything you see through that lens.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that's like, when playing, I do think you could have those negative moments. Obviously, it's very video game culture to get like rage and yell and whatnot. Very understandable. But you need to come back and have some positive things. Oh, like, I love this about this game. I love that, blah, blah, blah. Right? I just can't see, basically like that podcast, someone coming out and just every stream just being like, this game's stupid. Yeah, still playing the game. Because then everyone would be like, well, then why are you playing it? Like, why do you continue to play this game? And obviously the argument is, oh, well, this is where the viewers are. This is where that is, blah, blah, blah. This is, like, if I switch to another game, I'm not going to have as many viewers, which means not as many subs, which not as many donations, so on and so forth. So I guess that's how they make their living off of it. But it's just one of those things that I don't think you would continue to keep that following once everybody realizes that, oh, all he does is get on and bitch about the game while playing the game. It makes you seem hypocritical almost. Whereas with the WWE, there's really not many other options for wrestling.
So there are, but nowhere near as big.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking. Like, I mean, mainstream option. Like, there's like I think that AEW now, All Elite Wrestling. Like, yeah, but it's not WWE. Like, it doesn't have the production value. It doesn't have like that level where, like the whatever. But video games, you could literally choose any genre. You could go anywhere and basically get a following if you are positive and happy about it, right? So I don't really know, but I also like with the whole beef between Ninja and Dakotaz. I don't think Ninja was specifically talking about him, and I think Dakotaz just almost it hit like an insecurity in himself, so that's why he had to fire back. But I don't know. It's a weird situation that he decided to ban Ninja and take all this. And Ninja was like, I thought we were like friends. Like I wasn't even like talking about you like that. Like, and the worst part is it almost seems like Dakotaz is kind of clout chasing because of the way like Ninja said that he tried texting him, never answered, and Dakotaz is doing all his talking over Twitter. Like, so publicly.
That's weird.
Which just kind of seems a little like that's kind of sketch. Like, if Ninja's trying to reach out through, like, behind the scene, and then all of a sudden you're, like, just blasting it all over the internet, it kind of seems a little sketchy.
It seems like he's just doing it for the attention, for views.
Which I don't understand, because he's a big streamer. Because, okay, so now I don't know if he actually made the move, but Dakota used to live in Europe. And he's an American, but he would stream from somewhere in the EU. So he would stream overnight. And that was basically his time slot where he was popular.
Oh,
like,
yeah, you told me about that.
He would get a lot of views. So, like, in the morning, you could wake up and watch him. It was good for him because as soon as, like, updates would release on Fortnite, he'd be, like, one of the first people to play it because it was just in his natural time frame, and he would have a bunch of viewers. So maybe his stream has died a little since he moved to a different time slot. And he feels like he needs to do something to get a boost, and somehow this is the way he's going about it. But if so, I don't agree with that move, man.
Yeah, it seems disingenuous.
Very. It like, especially because I don't think it's ever. You're never gonna have your own. You're never gonna get as big as Ninja if you're trying to ride off his coattails.
Especially feuding with him.
Yeah. So I think it's a weird move on his part.
Ooh, you know,
if that's what he is doing.
Cringe and awesome.
What?
So, like, the big YouTube thing, like, 2 years ago, was to get into, like, a diss track beef with someone.
Oh my god.
What if Dakotaz released a diss track on Ninja?
What if they boxed?
Oh god, can you imagine that? A bunch of wet noodles punching at each other.
Oh my god. Well, no, it's funny because Dakotaz was heavy, and I think he's trying to lose weight, and Ninja's just a scrawny guy. It would be such a hot mess.
Like I said, a bunch of wet noodles hitting each other. That's what it would be.
Do you know what they should do? They should basically have a game Olympics where they have different types of video games that they have to beat each other in. So not just like shooters, but like one type of shooter, another type of shooter, maybe like a strategy game, this game or that game.
Only if they made up, though. I wouldn't want to see that. Like, if they were doing that to, like, actually get at each other. Then
yeah. But that'd be funny if, like, someone had, like, almost a fake beef and they did, like, a Olympic style.
Oh, for the meme,
game.
that'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like that for
They had to play Monopoly against each other.
Yeah. Oh my dude.
The whole time they're just talking. They're just talking trash, playing Monopoly. That's hilarious.
Yeah. No, that man. I think we just solved it.
But overall, like, do you think that streamers have that type of pull on a video game?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was still supposed to be answering that exact question.
Sorry.
I mean, kind of. So, like, were Fortnite's numbers down during the Brute era? Yeah, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well,
Then,
you gotta think about it. Minecraft had a revitalization during it.
And who was leading the charge on the Minecraft front? The streamers.
Yeah, Courage JD.
So I think that it's kind of undeniable to say that streamers streamers, influencers, and critics do have that type of power.
Yeah, because like the thing in my idea of it, I think it definitely is a big thing, because one, it's easy to hear someone else's opinion and just adopt that as your own instead of just thinking for yourself, which a lot of people decide to do. And two, when you see someone having fun with something or getting angry with something, most of the time, if they're having fun with it, right? So, for instance, right now, Dr. Lupo's playing this game called Escape from Tarkov. And it's like a super realistic, like, shooter game. And I watch him play it, and I'm like, oh, that looks like a lot of fun. I kind of want to play it. But I know if I played it, I don't think I'd have as much fun as me watching him play it. Which is weird. But, like, that's just something I know of myself. Like, I've played games before, and I go, wow, this looks a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. Just because I like a specific type of game. And if it doesn't fall into that, then it's sometimes not as enjoyable for me. And it's just one of those things that, but it's still the idea that like I watch him play, he's having a lot of fun. So then for me, it goes, wow, I could be having that level of fun. I want to play that. It's like commercials. You see like toy commercials. You see kids playing with toys and they're having fun with the toy. So you're like, I want the toy. Type of idea. So I do think streamers have a big pull. I get what Ninja's saying, with the whole fact that you shouldn't be negative about the game, because then, especially if it's the game that made your career, type of thing. If you're just constantly negative about it, it's kind of just like, okay, you get it. You still have to give it some props, type of thing. Just like everyone who says Fortnite is a trash game, it's a kid's game, blah blah, and they don't give Fortnite any props. It's like, do you realize what Fortnite has done to the just gaming culture in general?
Yeah, for sure.
You need to give it props for what it's worth, even if you don't like it, even if you don't play it, even if you think it is a childish game. You have to give it some props. Just like with Apex, like I don't particularly like playing Apex, but I can understand why some people will. Like, it's a different game style, and I give it its props for what it's worth. So with that, I just think that's my final thoughts on that. Do you have anything else you want to say about it?
I just enjoy what you enjoy in terms of the gaming world. Play the games you want to play. Don't play the games you don't want to play, and let people be in terms of what they like.
Yeah. So I think that's basically it for today.
Oh, that's all we got for the pod. All right.
Yeah.
Bet. So let's wrap this thing up. John, where can the people find you?
Well, thank you for asking. The people could find me on Mixer at Ginger Gorilla, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Ginger Gorilla Gaming. Remember, I do have, if you play Fortnite and you are buying anything in the Fortnite store or the Epic Game Store, as a matter of fact, you could use my supporter creator code Ginger Gorilla, capital GINGER, capital wow, I can't even spell my own creator code.
Dang, son.
So capital G Ginger, capital GORILLA, Gorilla. So only 2 capital G's, right? But that is where they can find me. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Buff Charmander. That's BuffCharmander. You can find me on YouTube, Geeks Weekly. That's 2 words, GEKS space WEEKLY. I have a couple videos out from the past couple weeks. My marriage story. Thank you to anyone who's watched that, left a thumbs up on that, or commented on that, by the way. It's doing really well, and I appreciate all the support. I just released a video on what I believe the perfect pilot episode is, and that's about an anime from kids called Yu Yu Hakusho. Make sure to check that out. And I think that's everything for me. So yeah, thank you all very much for listening to this week's podcast. Make sure on YouTube, leave the video a like and share it with your friends. If you're listening to it through an audio platform, still tell your friends about it.
And I think you could leave a rating with it. If most podcasts, you could leave a rating. So if you like it and you do want to support us, be sure to do that, so that maybe we end up on a chart somewhere, and then we could grow our community.
And then we can secure the bank.
Yes, because that is the dream.
Yeah. So again, thank you all very much for. I've been Kyle from Geeks Weekly.
And I am John, the Ginger Gorilla.
And we'll see you all again next time.
Peace out, everybody.